As we were all hoping and expecting, James Wan, the director of the mega successful blockbuster Aquaman, which is currently out in theaters, Warner Brothers wants to bring him back for Aquaman 2, and they are currently negotiating a deal with him. And here are the parameters for that deal and what's going on. He hasn't agreed yet. They want him back, so that process is starting. He hasn't signed the dotted line yet. I'm sure he's negotiating for even more money than he was already paid. James Wan came into Aquaman. He was already a successful blockbuster filmmaker. He had done Furious 7, which I think made over $1 billion. So I'm sure he was paid pretty nicely. He was an experienced director who already did like a blockbuster that was already successful. So I'm sure his rate was already, competitive to begin with. And now that Aquaman, another movie he's done, has made $1 billion too. He's got $2 billion movies under his belt. And it was also really important that this one made $1 billion because a lot of people saw that as it's saving the DCEU, which was in trouble. James Wan is probably going to get a fat raise for Aquaman 2. But here are the parameters for what apparently is going on right now, according to Deadline. As Aquaman is poised to supplant The Dark Knight Rises as the top-grossing film in the DC Universe, Warner Brothers has begun the process of bringing director James Wan back for the inevitable sequel. Sources said the plan in discussion is for Wan to oversee the development of a second film, including the selection of writers, and then make a decision on whether to direct it and when he sees the scripts. To direct it when he sees the script. Oh, so it's not a done deal that he'll even direct it. He could just be a producer. He is the producer also on the Swamp Thing TV show that's coming on the DC Universe streaming network, which is going to be a horror tone show. And that makes sense because James Wan started as a horror director. I think his first big movie was Saw. I don't know if that's the first movie he ever did, but it's the first one that was, pretty big. And, he made a name for himself as a horror director after that. He did more horror movies, and then he bumped up the blockbusters with Furious 7, which I think helped him, do Aquaman. Another blockbuster. Small wonder that Warner Brothers wants him back as badly as it did Patty Jenkins on the Wonder Woman sequel. Wan's Aquaman has shifted the landscape of the DC Universe toward the iridescent deep-sea kingdom of Atlantis and away from grim old Gotham as far as the unofficial capital of the Warner superhero business. That symbolic relocation will happen when Wan's Aquaman eclipses Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises this weekend on the strength of its international success. As of last weekend, the global box office for Wan's amphibious epic was closing in on $1.07 billion and a mere $17 million shy of matching the mark set by the 2012 final installment of Nolan's Batman trilogy. So basically, good news. It would be horrible if, Warner Brothers let Wan slip out of their fingers, given, what he accomplished for them and the fact that, it was a huge deal that he's a very talented person. And I think a lot of fans and audience members trust him, even if he didn't get a very fair shake from the critics with Aquaman. I think a lot of them are pretty rough on Aquaman, and I think it's because a lot of it's anti-DC bias. But even so, he had the skills and the ability to hand DC the DCEU their first $1 billion movie at a time when they desperately needed it. I think now more than ever. So it's great. I mean, of course they're not going to let him go. And I'm confident that they'll be able to work this out. I mean, maybe, I don't know if they can't do it right away, they will eventually. Warner Brothers is not going to let this fall apart. They need this to work. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.